Over 1,200 years ago, a brilliant mathematician named Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi changed the world of numbers forever. His groundbreaking work laid the foundation for algebra and gave us the tools to understand the unknown. But who was Al-Khwarizmi, and why should we care about his legacy? Join me on this journey through time as we explore the life, work, and impact of the man who gave us algebra. Al-Khwarizmi was born in the 8th century in the Central Asian region of Khwarazm, which is now part of Uzbekistan. At the time, Khwarazm was a part of the Greater Abbasid Caliphate, a vast empire that stretched from Spain to India. And despite its political fragmentation, it was during this period that the Islamic Golden Age flourished, a time when Muslim scholars made significant contributions to science, mathematics, philosophy, and art. After the Muslim conquest of Persia, the House of Wisdom became a center of intellectual activity where scholars from different cultures came together to translate and study ancient texts. By the 9th century, it had become one of the most important intellectual centers in the world. Al-Khwarizmi's decision to go to Baghdad was a pivotal moment in his life and in the history of mathematics. Under the tutelage of Caliph Harun al-Rashid, who was the Abbasid Caliphate's 5th ruler, Al-Khwarizmi studied at the House of Wisdom and quickly made a name for himself as a brilliant mathematician and astronomer. After impressing the Caliph with his knowledge, he was appointed to the Caliph's library, a position that gave him access to a vast collection of ancient Greek, Persian, and Indian texts. It was here that Al-Khwarizmi began his groundbreaking work in mathematics, building on the ideas of his predecessors and introducing new concepts that would revolutionize the field. Although little is known about Al-Khwarizmi's personal life, his professional accomplishments are legendary. In addition to his contributions to algebra, he also made significant advances in geometry and number theory. For example, he proved that there are infinitely many prime numbers and developed a method for finding the area of a regular polygon with any number of sides. He also wrote several important texts on astronomy, including a treatise on the solar eclipse that explained how shadows can be used to predict the path of an eclipse and calculate its duration. But it was his work on algebra that had the most profound impact. Al-Khwarizmi's approach to solving algebraic equations was a departure from the methods used by his predecessors. Instead of relying on intuition or trial and error, he developed a systematic way to solve equations by using logical rules and geometric arguments. His book, Al-Kitab al-Mukhtasar fi Hisab al-Jabr wal-Muqabala, which translates to the Compendium Book on Calculation by Completion and Balancing, became a seminal work in the history of mathematics. It introduced the world to the concept of algebra and gave scholars the tools they needed to solve problems that had previously been considered insoluble. In this groundbreaking work, Al-Khwarizmi presented a collection of rules and algorithms for solving linear and quadratic equations. He also provided geometric interpretations of the solutions, demonstrating that they could be represented by areas of geometric figures. This approach not only provided a deeper understanding of the nature of equations, but also laid the foundation for the development of analytic geometry by later mathematicians such as René Descartes and Pierre de Fermat. One of the most important contributions of Al-Khwarizmi was the introduction of symbols and notation to represent numbers and variables. This allowed for a more concise and efficient way of expressing and solving equations, and it paved the way for the development of symbolic logic and other areas of higher mathematics. Before Al-Khwarizmi, mathematicians had used words to describe numbers and operations, which made it difficult to express complex relationships and perform algebraic manipulations. But by introducing symbols such as x and y to represent unknown quantities, Al-Khwarizmi enabled mathematicians to write equations in a more compact form and manipulate them more easily. This innovation alone had a profound impact on the development of algebra and mathematics as a whole. Another important contribution of Al-Khwarizmi was his emphasis on demonstration and proof. He recognized the importance of providing clear and rigorous explanations for his methods and results, and he set a high standard for mathematical scholarship that influenced generations of mathematicians. In his book, Al-Khwarizmi included detailed proofs for all of his theorems, as well as numerous examples to illustrate his methods. He also emphasized the importance of understanding the underlying principles and not just memorizing procedures, a lesson that remains relevant for students of mathematics today. Despite his many accomplishments, Al-Khwarizmi's legacy remained largely unknown in the West for centuries. His works were translated into Latin and studied by European scholars, but his name and contributions were often lost or distorted in the translation. It wasn't until the 19th century that scholars began to uncover the true extent of his work and its impact on the development of mathematics. Today, Al-Khwarizmi is finally receiving the recognition he deserves as one of the greatest mathematicians of all time. His pioneering work in algebra and other areas of mathematics laid the foundation for many of the scientific advancements that we take for granted today. Without his contributions, our understanding of the world would be much more limited. In addition to his contributions to mathematics and astronomy, Al-Khwarizmi was also a key figure in the transmission of Greek scientific thought to the Islamic world. He translated several important Greek texts, including the works of Euclid and Apollonius of Perga, and introduced them to an Arabic-speaking audience. This helped to preserve these texts and make their contents available to scholars who would have otherwise been unable to access them. Furthermore, Al-Khwarizmi's work on translating astronomical tables from Greek to Arabic facilitated the adoption of Ptolemaic astronomy in the Islamic world. This had a profound impact on the development of astronomy in both the East and West, as Muslim astronomers built on Ptolemy's work and made their own contributions to the field. Al-Khwarizmi's legacy extends beyond the realm of mathematics and science. He was a champion of intellectual freedom and a proponent of the importance of education and critical thinking. He believed that knowledge should be accessible to all and that the pursuit of wisdom was a noble and worthwhile endeavor. This belief was reflected in his teaching, which emphasized the importance of understanding the underlying principles of mathematics and not just memorizing procedures. He also played a key role in promoting cultural exchange between the Muslim and non-Muslim worlds, and his efforts helped to create a climate of tolerance and understanding. Unfortunately, much of Al-Khwarizmi's work was lost during the decline of the Abbasid Caliphate and the subsequent fragmentation of the Islamic world. This was due in part to the destruction of libraries and the neglect of intellectual pursuits as the focus shifted to other priorities. However, some of his works did survive and were preserved in manuscript form, and they eventually found their way to Europe, where they were translated into Latin and studied by scholars in the West. Despite the loss of much of his work, what remains of Al-Khwarizmi's writings is a testament to his genius and the lasting impact he had on the development of mathematics and science. His contributions to algebra, geometry, and number theory were groundbreaking, and his systematic approach to problem-solving and emphasis on proof and demonstration set a high standard for mathematical scholarship that influenced generations of mathematicians. He was also a key figure in the transmission of Greek scientific thought to the Islamic world, and his work on translating astronomical tables from Greek to Arabic helped to preserve and advance the field of astronomy. In recent years, there has been a growing effort to recognize and celebrate the contributions of Muslim scholars to science, mathematics, and culture. And Al-Khwarizmi has finally begun to receive the recognition he deserves as one of the greatest mathematicians of all time. His story is an inspiration to all those who pursue knowledge and understanding of the world around us, and his legacy continues to shape our world in profound ways. Thank you for joining me on this journey through time to explore the life, work, and impact of the man who gave us algebra. Until next time, keep asking questions, keep seeking answers, and keep exploring the wonders of our universe. You never know what amazing discoveries you might make.